One creative soul who listens to his inner vibes is stained glass artist Daniel Herman. He has a playfulness and inventiveness as he incorporates pieces of glass with unusual items that he finds. Like many artists, the creative path began simply enough and then slowly progressed over the decades until even he was surprised at the journey he'd made. Mr. Herman likes to emphasize the play of light, and we hope that you find it interesting.
When I was a kid, I used to like to invent things all the time, and I really do think that mostly what I do in here is sort of invention, and the glass is a formal expression, I guess, of that bent, that inventive bent. I started to make little candle holders. It was the old hippie days, you know, and everybody was making something to put a candle in, so I did the same thing. I went to a studio down in DC, actually, and I asked for advice on getting supplies. The artist there and I started talking and ended up working there and doing a sort of assistantship, apprenticeship. We are creatures of light. We're automatically affected by light passing through a window. Well, if you put a piece of color in front of that, light passing through color, there's this real primal draw to that. So whatever you put as an intermediary, a meeting place between you and the light, it automatically has presence just because of the material. Now, some people, I think they depend too much on the technical aspects of what one can do. I mean, you can express something with a rock and a stick. So if you can do that, you can get great diversity, great range out of simply using lead and glass. And I've incorporated etching into my vocabulary. That piece is called Is the Bomb. And actually that was born of that piece of aluminum that's in the center, that perforated piece of aluminum. A friend of mine was in his shop, was practicing with some rivets, and he was drilling holes and putting rivets in it. He was throwing it away. I thought it was an interesting piece of metal. Next thing I did was to cut that form like a bishop's mitre. And then the rest of it was that beautiful piece of orange that's in the ground area is a piece of hand-blown German flashed opalescent, it's called. And it has that wonderful grade variation of color from that pale orange to the darker orange on the right. And then it's just trying to make that whole thing come together out of those parts. There's something sitting around here, an old scrap of something that I put up on the easel and say, okay, what? This piece was born like that. That face that's in this piece here titled Shrine of the Little Flower, that was supposed to be the face of a juggler at one point. It wasn't supposed to be in this cruciform-like thing like this and with this chartreuse glass around it. That all sort of developed. And then I built the frame to accommodate the whole thing after the fact because I thought it looked folk arty, and so I decided to, I was eligible to make folk art. I think I started collecting junk and it started accumulating, and I thought, what the heck am I going to do with all this stuff? And it's funny how the things we throw away resemble ourselves. The things that we manufacture resemble ourselves. I mean, light sockets, you know, 2 eyes and a mouth, you know. They're things that are found bent, broken, chipped, etc. But I don't really do anything but assemble them. Something seems to fit, a diameter of something seems to fit something, you know, something plugs in here. Because all these assemblages, for the most part, it's simply the assemblage of found things to come together. There might be something very male about it, because whenever there's a hole, I want to fill it with something. Everybody's exploring, and if you're an artist, that's what you're constantly doing, is moving forward as opposed to looking to the past. Over the years, I've had clients that have been just wonderful about allowing you to do something new, to marry something into their homes as opposed to just creating sort of turn-of-the-century American art glass. Well, I've been doing this for 30 years. It's actually, when I think about it, it's been a really wonderful, fruitful ride. I've gained a lot from it. I think I've given a certain amount to it. Now, as to whether I want to, I decided a long time ago it was a way of life as opposed to a way of making a living. That is the blessing and the curse of the arts.
You can learn more about the stained glass of Daniel Herman by going to our website, mpt.org, and clicking on Artworks.